Welcome everyone today to the On Par podcast with me, your host Greg Sharp from Zen Contract, and today I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Dustin Puryear of Giant Rocketship, all the way from New Orleans. Welcome, Dustin.
Hey, how are you doing?
I am really good. Thank you so much for overcoming my technical ability and just waiting for a couple of minutes to get started. So good to see your face. How's things in New Orleans?
Colder than apparently it is for you on the beach right now. I love the background.
Yeah, I wish it was this nice. Actually, I'm in New Zealand, as the listeners may know, but it is nice and sunny here at the moment, and we do have a lovely ray of sunshine going on. It's not quite as tropical as what you might see there where I am right now, because I'm in my studio at home, but
It's in the middle of the summer right now for you, isn't it?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we get the polar opposite of you guys. It is night when it's day. We're one day ahead, and wish we knew all a lot of numbers and stuff. We'd give them to you, but we don't.
The water flushes backwards. It's mayhem down there.
We're walking around on our heads. It's all that.
You're just hopping around.
Exactly. Good. Well, hey. So how's things going at Giant Rocketship?
They're going great, man. We're doing really well. We expanding quickly, and we're about to come out with the Rocketship Horizon in February, which is the new platform. So super excited about that.
Just in a minute or less, just give the listeners a little bit of an overview of Giant Rocketship and how it advances the MSP business.
Yeah, so we had a blast with version 1, just Rocketship. And with Rocketship, we were fully automating triage, ticket assignment, and scheduling, whether it was to-dos or fixed appointments. And we have Horizon coming out as a whole new generation. It's workflow based. And what's really cool about it is it leans very heavily into business intelligence. So it's much more about taking the data it's collecting about the work that's happening in the organization and giving management decision making to your team.
Right, fantastic. And so the efficiencies that come to the business are, the right ticket gets to the right person a lot faster. It spends a lot less time inside the death of a holding pattern of a queue. But then you're saying you overlaid a whole lot of workflow on top of that. So
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there's definitely some tools out there that they'll automate a little bit of triage, maybe some assignment. But I would say Rocketship really is the only platform that fully takes in the whole service management aspect. So if you look at all that data that we're collecting when people start work, if they're late on the work, who ended up taking forever on the ticket because they were misassigned the ticket, right? Then we have all this data now, so we can put a business intelligent layer on top of it to start doing really good Q&A with the managers. Do we need to hire more people? Do we need to let somebody go? Are we missing the network person? Is that the wrong hire? Just difficult questions that people usually answer from the gut because they don't know how to get to the data. So Rocketship's going to take all this data we're collecting and present it to the customers in a business intelligence suite.
yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, I had an MSP for a long time, sold it a while ago. I've just recently bought back into one, so it's something that we'll need to explore, which is great. So the discussion for topic today, which obviously is going to be on the notes, is how you've got a deep interest and a deep depth of knowledge now in working with MSPs. And the topic that we're going to discuss is how they catch the wave of AI advancement, right? As far as how do they use it to benefit their customers, use it to benefit themselves, and monetize it to benefit the business that they're actually building and running, right? So
Right.
there's probably a lot to that, but I see it in a way that it's probably going to start in an education phase, not to jump right into it, but you're educating your end customers. This is as an MSP, you're educating your end customers about what the possibilities are, then you're going to help them with those possibilities, and then you're going to start managing those possibilities and workloads once you get there. How do you see it from a 40,000 feet view?
In terms of, just to reflect this back, in terms of the MSP kind of championing AI use in their own customer base.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with tools like yours, they're using a myriad of things, but including, artificial and business intelligence, the things to get more efficiency inside their own business. That's an excellent topic and one we can discuss till we're blue in the face, because both your and my suite do that for the MSP. We're on the contract side, you're in the engineering and efficiency side. But this topic is, if you're an MSP owner today, how do you catch this AI wave? And what do you do with it? And it'd be great to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, I think we're now getting to a point where you can monetize it. I would say 2 years ago, I think everybody was interested and excited, but they almost saw it as their personal computer, right? It was like their thing. I have my ChatGPT account. What I think you see now, particularly with Microsoft really force feeding Copilot on people, is a lot of companies are starting to not just say, hey, we could use this, but hey, what are the problems that are going to come with it? Where does the data go? So I think that the and it also depends on who the MSP sells to. If you're selling to a five-person, consulting shop, then they might not be great for that. But some of the larger practices out there, they'll be able to sell not just implementation services for AI, but also the compliance side. Hey, how do we make sure that, yeah, we're a SOC 2 site, engineering organization with important data for government projects, but how do we make sure we're not mixing that into a public use model? Right? So I think compliance is going to be big. The other thing is, I think a lot of people are starting to see with AI, it's great, but when you put it as part of a tool chain, that's when it's phenomenal, right? So, like, just saying, oh, we use Claude or we use OpenAI, I'm going to give it a prompt, I'm going to get something back out of it. That's good, but if you put it into a workflow or a tool chain of like content creation or analysis of your history of your workload in your company, that is something that people generally can't do on their own and that you can be helpful to. But if you're just trying to sell an open AI license, which you can't even really do, but if you're just trying to sell these like one-off access to AI, you're going to be dead in the water. You have to figure out, how do I make it into a compliance play, or how do I build a tool chain around this?
Yeah, I agree with you. See, I think step 101, like basic 101, is to build a little mini product called an AI readiness, right? To go and do a consultation to your client saying, how far away are you from being AI ready? Like, is your data stored in a central
I think it's a great idea.
uh,
Yeah.
and that, that could be doesn't matter about the currency, but it might be a $995 consulting engagement that takes, 2 hours to do the inquisitorial question and answer session, or go and have a look at their environment, maybe an hour to write it up and an hour to present it, right? So, there's $250 an hour times 4. So you're making money while you're doing it, but then you're also assessing what their environment's like. Then that goes to the next stage, which is exactly what you said, which might be the compliance stage. Are they going to be sharing their business sensitive data out to ChatGPT, which just goes out into the wild, whereas potentially they should not. Maybe they need to have a bit of a closed circuit, paid for
Agreed.
GPT that's only looks at one data set, which might be their internal data, that type of thing. But I think for me, that would be the way that I sit on a few boards of MSPs in this part of the world, and sort of advising them to get a readiness, sort of small block of consulting work to go and say, how are you going to actually advise them on how you're going to take the stuff on. Go past just the prompt, and exactly what Dustin said, if your listeners listening, is how do we make this into a series of tools that actually come out with a result at the end, rather than just speeding up your typing capability.
Yeah, or just involve you copying, pasting content. I mean, that definitely is helpful, that to copy and paste content, but that usually just one piece. If you look at all of the work, let's just talk about posting a blog. The writing the content's one thing, but really doing the SEO analysis, image generation, making sure it doesn't feel like AI slop. I mean, there's actually a lot that goes into it. And so really there's a tool chain there, and if you just think, oh, I'm just going to have it tweak my content some, that's great. That really is just one of 10 phases in that particular project to post that blog. So I think that's why a full tool chain is important. And there's a lot of avenues that a lot of people see it just content creation, but there's things as simple as, if we're talking strictly content, hey, we have a service that's going to update all of your handbooks, bring up everything up to snuff. Like, things that people put to the side because it's just too complicated, too much work. A lot of that can be automated, but people want solutions. They don't want to be dealing with all of the minutia of it.
Yeah. The 101 sort of area is that a lot of the businesses that you're looking after have exactly what you said as handbooks, or how do we do this, or how do I go and access my work from home policy, or if I want to take unpaid leave, how do I go and access this, and how do I apply for it? Is to put all that information into one area, which generally is, and then throw a paid-for version of ChatGPT with a chatbot out the back, so that you can create a chatbot that goes across each person's desktop that allows them to go and ask easy questions, rather than going have to dig down and find a policy.
Yeah.
That style of thing where you're using AI to get the right bit of information into the right person's hands to sort of speed the whole business up. That would be part of potentially one of your initial service offerings. But
That is, and one thing I will say is a lot of people focus on the LLM side, the text generation, but there's also a lot of money to be made in kind of the RAG kind of machine learning approach. I guess machine learning is kind of the old naming of it, but one of the things that people really just don't understand is that there's a whole world of services around machine learning and RAG and training on top of data to give you proper responses where you don't need to just go to a public model. You can finely tune models for the data that you have. And I think that's a really missed opportunity right now is people are only focused on content creation and not really getting measurements of historical data and trending analysis using AI.
yeah, which is, if I'm hearing you correctly, that would be, going to a company and having a look at their data set and then putting something across their data set that allowed them to get easy recall, right? So you go and find what they want inside their data set.
Find it or trend against it. Like one of the things that Rocketship is doing more and more, particularly in Rocketship Horizon, is trending and telling you, hey, look, based on this trend, you will be busy. You're going to be overwhelmed in 2 months. And that is not pure AI. That's not language model, right? That's kind of the old school AI. And so a lot of people miss that opportunity, even though it's huge. You need to do the language model, which we do, but you also need to be doing the historical trending, which people don't do as like a service as an MSP. So I think that's like a really untapped area of that market.
Yeah. The other thing I've been saying, and I'm keen to get your opinion on this, is some MSPs is to use themselves as a working model. Before you go and tackle taking AI to all of your customers, do a discovery process on, or if you have a AI readiness service, do that on yourselves, and then figure out what areas of your business you might be able to take advantage of either
Yep.
AI or products that have AI. Giant Rocketship or Rocketship Horizon would be a perfect example where you've got some machine learning and business intelligence to understand where you're trending, whether you're understaffed, overstaffed, got the right staff, if they're in the right seats. That type of thing is an advancement. AI is a very general and wide term. I think it's where you're using some smarts and some analysis on some data to be able to make advances in your own business. And maybe you're writing some tools in your own business it can be as simple as detaching invoices from emails and putting them in the right folder so that it's something that's manual that doesn't have to be done by someone else. But all of those little bits are potential service offerings that you can take to like-minded businesses that you look after and create workloads and chains of potentially AI agents that do some of these tasks, but document those and understand how you did it for yourself, and then try and put a business model around it so you can take that on to your customers and start monetizing things. Because at a really, really high level, Dustin, I think the MSP industry, which we sell into and I've been my whole career in, is morphing that we're going to manage workloads, not workstations in the near.
I think that's correct. I mean, I think it can be a scary time for a lot of people or an exciting time. I do think the model is shifting. Honestly, the model for MSPs has been shifting for the past 10 years, particularly with Microsoft and what they're pushing. So I think it's just accelerating the transition that people have been having. I think pure play, hardware focused MSPs, they're just going to struggle more and more over time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And if I still had my old business, so what do we have? 50 people. I'd be having probably 2 full-time like AI consultants that were just going out to businesses talking about potential. We'd have a playbook of known use cases for AI agents. It might be, like I said, accounts receivable. It might be accounts advance. It might be content creation, whatever stuff that we built up a library of use cases, and it might have started with 5 and 10, and then we're just speaking to more of our customers about more things. And as we do one for one customer, then that becomes part of the library, and you push it across the other customers where it's like-minded. And they'd be doing assessments out there. And so as you are a smaller business, let's say you're an MSP of 5, 10 people, and maybe one person becomes the AI person who is starting to study about it and understand use cases, and not studying at a high level, start looking at your own MSP business and where you can get an AI agent or workload to be able to alleviate some of your repetitive tasks, and just start there and build your library up from there. And then once you've got 3 or 4 use cases that will be that'll work in a real estate agent's office or a manufacturing plant head office or something like that, then start going to talk to them about it.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you on that.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, and how are you take a step back out to 60,000 feet? How are you seeing the industry, up in North America? I know you're just coming out of winter and starting to move to, what do you guys call it? Spring?
Spring.
Uh,
What do you call it?
we just call it spring as well.
Uh,
Just with a different accent. And how's the market up there? Is the whatever's going on in US geopolitics having much an effect on the market?
that's a whole. I'm sure it is impacting the market. But as far as the MSPs, it's interesting. I mean, obviously we have data on growth of MSPs because of our user counts, because we bill per user. Some MSPs continue to grow and some have slight contractions. I don't know that there's a huge change across the board. I don't see MSPs blowing up, like rapidly accelerating like crazy right now. My guess would be that there's a little bit of a wait and see approach with a lot of MSPs, trying to see what's going to happen with the economy. I don't see a ton of hiring, at least not net new hiring, maybe replacement hiring. And so, it's kind of interesting. I wouldn't say it's a pessimistic. I wouldn't say they're all contracting, but I don't see explosive growth in our customer base in terms of the user counts inside of every MSP. So I guess that kind of tells me that there's some caution happening right now.
So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's got to be some caution. Certainly, it's a little bit of a wait and see, and I think you're getting a little bit of this side of the world as well. But with what I'm seeing in MSP land is some top line growth, because we've got a smaller data set, but we're seeing the size of contracts and the amount of contracts is still growing, but the user base, albeit that we've just got front-end sales users, they're not growing as rapidly. But I do wonder whether that's to do with the fact that there's so many tools to gain efficiency, isn't there? Is that potentially you don't need as many people to be able to service a larger amount of customers?
Yeah, I think the smaller MSPs are still having to use warm bodies a lot. I think the larger MSPs definitely are kind of leaning into the automation. Even though, look, we use AI, I don't see that tomorrow you can just go replace your technicians with AI.
No.
Like, I don't think that's going to serve you very well. And I have noticed, not just with our customers, but across the board, it does seem to me like there's a kind of growing public pushback on AI communication, like direct one-on-one communication. And so I think I think automating back office and monitoring response and initial remediation is a good use case, but I think human interaction still remains a struggle. There's certain laws that and I actually agree with that have come out that they proposed here in the U.S., which is one, if you're talking to AI, it has to announce itself. And to me, I think that's in the best interest of everybody.
And I don't know whether this is part of the law, but based on an experience I had talking to an airline here yesterday, is that they should have a very clear path that if you need to get to a person, you can get to a person.
How much time you got? Because that's a conversation we can have for the next 2 hours. I will literally just sit and scream customer service at my phone for an hour. Like, it keeps talking to me. It's like, that's not valid. I'm like, eventually it's going to hang up on me. It's going to put me through. And usually on the 800th time, it's like, here, let me put you through to customer service. No, I find that infuriating.
Yeah. We had, my daughter was home for her 21st and flight got cancelled to get home. And so we were on the phone with Jetstar, just pressing a button, and screaming at it, give me a person, give me a person, give me a person now. But anyway, we eventually got there. But there's the point of this conversation was to understand at an MSP level, how do you get on the AI wave without it just trying to package up some, bullshit product that is going to.
I think what you said makes a lot of sense, which is the assessment. I think that's an easy way to put your toe in the water.
That's it. And then off the back of that, that gives you the ability to be able to have a conversation with them to start discussing use cases. I've seen MSPs flip the lid on its own ChatGPT and ask me questions about how I should put together a readiness assessment for my MSP customers. And you tell it, as much as you can about your business and your geography and where you are and everything, and then it will help you build a readiness assessment. And then give it the same thing is that you would tell it, this is the customer, this is what the conversations we have, this is the industry that they're in, give me 5 of the top use cases where AI might be able to help them, and you go along with those to the meeting after you've done your readiness assessment. So those types of things are, I think, ways get started, right, at a really base level, and obviously charge appropriately for that consulting, with a view that you have an ROI calculation, because you're going to build them something that's going to remove the requirement for humans to do X, Y, and Z on a monthly basis. Might save 4 hours, might save 8 hours, might save more, and that comes with an hourly rate. There's a return on investment calculation for them, so you should charge.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that'll be the big question is, well, how do I charge? What should I charge? Should I just go and do it for free? Do I put it in as a value add? It's like, figure out how much money you're going to save them on a monthly basis and get what you can of it.
No, I agree. I think a project like that is something fixed fee. Like, you don't want to go in hourly, because then they're gonna be pushing back. I would just set a number, make it valuable, make it feel valuable, and go with that number.
Yeah, well, look, let's run a use case. Say it's a $9.95 assessment that takes you 4 hours. We'll use that example we talked about before. So we're making a $250 an hour if you want to put back into an hours. But if you automated it and got good at it, and you only did it in 2 hours, then it's $500 an hour. That's the sort of thing you want to get your head around. But that's just the assessment. That gives you the keys to the kingdom to understand what their use cases are.
Yes, and then you can sell against that.
And you might charge $5,000 to build that because it's going to save them $2,000 a month, so they get an ROI of quite quickly. But then you might have a management fee to manage that workload for them to make sure that it's not going sideways. And there's your ongoing recurring revenue model.
Absolutely.
Across the way. So that's not too dissimilar to we've all done it for a long time, I suppose, in the MSP game. But we're just talking about a workload, not managing people or people's workstations. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
That's good. So which is your football team? Are they still in the playoffs? Or
well, so New Orleans is Saints. We're based out of New Orleans, but I live closer to Baton Rouge, so I would be the LSU Tigers. But it's kind of past all that. So I guess now I need to be focused more on soccer because my 9-year-old loves soccer.
Right. Isn't the Football World Cup coming to the USA soon? Football?
You mean the World Cup?
The World Cup, yeah. I thought it was coming your way soon.
It is. I think it's going to be in a couple of cities, several cities.
So LSU's Louisiana State University. That's college football, isn't it? And that's almost at the full-on championships coming up in a couple of weeks. Season's all but done.
Mm-hmm.
But they get a lot of people to those games, don't they?
Well, I mean, LSU has a massive stadium. I think the stadium seats like 110,000 people, and it's full every game.
Yeah, you can imagine that how much money that football program brings. Anyway, we're excited.
Oh, that's a whole conversation right there with the whole university system. Yeah.
Right. Some of those players are paid now, aren't they? They're able to get some.
I'm not a huge football person. But I'm aware of kind of the politics around that. I'm more on the side of that was a bad idea. I think it's one of those things where it is unfair that they were playing without pay. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think comparing the unfairness of that versus where that's going to I think it's going to make college football just worse. It's going to become more about, I think you're going to have more players constantly moving between the school systems. I think it's going to be almost like a contract for hire game, more similar to the NFL. And college football was different than NFL because you didn't have people moving between teams. You could rally behind people. Yeah. And I think paying people and letting them move easily for more pay is just going to cause, I don't think it's a healthy change, even if it was unfair to the individual players.
Yeah, I think we could talk about this for a while too, because I've got some opinions and some strong opinions. I'd really like you to hear them too, Dustin. But no, I'm kidding. We should get back on track. So if you're an MSP and you want to get on this AI wave, I think the big thing is to understand use cases for your customers, put together a readiness assessment. If you're too small and you just don't have time to do it, but you don't want to miss the opportunity, then go and scour the market for an AI agency that's in your region and partner with them to be able to do these readiness assessments, to be able to understand the workloads. Make sure you are going to get a commission from them, but then also you are going to manage the workloads on an ongoing basis, because those workloads are going to run on either external or internal servers or servers you're providing, and you need to be across monitoring and managing those workloads. Otherwise, you're going to be doing yourself out of the equation, which is not what we want at all.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the great place to start. So, anything to add to that, do you think, Dustin?
No, I think that's right. I think we keep talking about the kind of enablement side of things. I just think that compliance is really going to become bigger and bigger. A lot of people are dumping, a lot of MSPs are dumping customer data into these models, and I think there's going to be an event sometime in the future, and it's going to cause some liability issues. I think compliance is going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. So as you are putting together your readiness assessment, definitely run it against yourselves, number one, and understand some workloads for yourself, but also potentially have a look at the potential risks from your security side, from your ongoing operational side that you already have a real good understanding of, and understand where things can provide risks. But I think that's a good place to start, and maybe we can pick it up in a few months and see, where we can
see if we were right or wrong.
Yeah, that's right. See whether anyone's listening. So we'll figure out whether people have taken the advice on and get the assessment right and go and start having those conversations. Hey, thank you so much for spending the time to talk, Dustin. So for the listeners, if they want to find more about Giant Rocketship, Rocket Horizon, and Dustin Puryear, what's your contact details?
Yeah, just giantrocketship.com or email me at dustin@giantrocketship.com. And happy to talk to anybody about AI.
Excellent. And for me, it's also it says Joanna on the screen. It's Greg at zencontract.com. So anything to do with contract automation. We've got latest release of a brand new market-leading editor and a whole bunch of workflow automation that goes off the back of that, and some great specials we'd love to talk to you about. So Greg at zencontract.com. And thank you so much, Dustin, for spending the time, and great to see your face all the way from New Orleans. All right, see you later.
Thank you.